Hey y'all, hey, and welcome back to Tootie Talk Sis, and I am Tootie. So, yeah, we did the last discussion where I did part one. I ran out of time, or the Murdaugh Netflix special. So I was doing my commentary and breaking it down. At the part that we stopped on was that Paul was arrested. It was 3 months later. Paul got arrested. He was charged with one count of DUI, boating while under the influence, and two counts of BUI, boating under the influence with great bodily harm. Now, Paul was 20 years old. Paul was never arrested. He took his mug shot in a polo shirt. He was never handcuffed. He never spent the night in jail. Mind you, there's a whole girl who's deceased now because he was drinking and driving a boat. So 2 years after the accident, they said he was still, people say, oh well, we could have understood if he would have stopped drinking, stopped partying and everything. No, he kept the party going like one more time. Like that what he's doing didn't just cause a whole loss of life. So 2 years after the accident, he was still drinking, he was still partying. He said Paul was getting in trouble with the law. His Buster, his older brother, got expelled from the University of South Carolina for plagiarism. So your dad, it was stealing. The brother is lying, and Paul is just drinking and partying. So Maggie found bills was going unpaid. She hired a forensic scientist and visit a divorce attorney. Maggie is the mom that the dad was convicted on. So June 7th, 2021 was the shooting. Alex says he comes home, take nap, text wife he's going to visit his sick parents. He come back, find his wife and son bodies. Maggie had multiple firearm shots in her chest and back. It seems like she was running away from someone. Paul was hit in the chest, then in the neck, and the head. That they said that from the shot to the head, he was barely recognizable. So 2009 was Paul drinking and driving, where Mallory ended up losing her life. 2021 was the double homicide. 2008, July 8th, 2015 was the death of Stephen Smith. Now, this is guy, I want to see if I can pull up his picture. Oh, I forgot to open it up, y'all. Give me 1 minute. I forgot to open up the doggone pictures. Let's see. Now, Stephen is the one who was found. I'm just open up all my little pictures because I only got two relating to this case. So let me show y'all who Stephen is. Share screen. No, I'm gonna have to do it. Let me share my entire screen. Give me a minute. Let me look up his, because I'm gonna have to do it this way. Stephen Smith and the Murdaugh. My printer just finished printing water bottles, labels. I had couple of things to do today. Okay, so let me show y'all Stephen Smith. He's a nice looking young boy. I'm like, that was sad and tragic that it had to happen that way. So that's Stephen. If you see these pictures here is of Stephen. So Stephen, this happened July 8th, 2015. That's when they found him. The body was found in the middle of a highway. His car was found around the corner. The body had severe head trauma, and it doesn't look like a car was involved. Buster Murdaugh was in report. Buster Murdaugh was in the report. and he is the older brother. Miley remember being in school with Stephen, who's the victim. Miley again, remember Miley was Paul's girlfriend. Olivia was Stephen's best friend. She said he didn't give a shit about what people thought of him. He's one of them people who didn't give a shit about. He's in a small town. He's in a small town. That's my baby. She out there with my husband, but she calling mommy. So, but Stephen grew up in a small town where he was gay, but he came out as gay. He didn't try to hide it or anything. And his friend Olivia said that's the best thing that she loved about him, that he didn't give a shit about what nobody said. He was him. So the road he was found on, it was she said it wasn't that far from where Mallory lived, which is the one who drowned after falling off the boat when Paul was drunk driving. So the town rallied at first, and then the town rallied for Stephen to find who supposedly did the hit and run. The town rallied for him, and then the case just disappeared. After the case went cold, his mom Sandy Smith hired a private investigator. Buster was named as the one who did it by rumor over and over again. So the rumor is Buster, who's another Murdaugh, was named as the one who did it. That was the rumor around the town. The rumor was Stephen and Buster had a relationship and the Murdaughs wouldn't accept it. Day after Stephen died, Randy Murdaugh called Steve's mom and said he would take the case. So after her son body found, he calling out of nowhere. She didn't call him nothing. He called and told her, I'm going to take the case. The officer said they was going to interview Buster, but after the Murdaugh name kept coming up, nothing happened, and Buster was never interviewed. Miley asked Paul and Buster at dinner if they had something to do with it because a girl messaged Miley and said she heard that Paul was there, and they laughed and said he wouldn't kill a F word. So that is the thing with Stephen. So they're saying that that's Buster, who is Paul's older brother, the one who got kicked out the university for plagiarism, that Buster and Stephen had a relationship. I honestly feel like that was the dead. Now, because it was an underage boy, now this is just my theory. I ain't got no proof or nothing on this. Let me put up my allegedly. This stuff is just my opinion. But because of what the father was accused of, I'm like, wouldn't it have been something? And because the father is very feminine. That doesn't always, like I said in the previous video, I know feminine men don't mean gay men. But the father is very feminine. He gives you the whole Todd Christie personality. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was the dad and the boy, either somebody found out. And even if it was Buster, I wouldn't think that it was Buster messing around with him. The dad was probably messing around with an underage man that caused that math. That's just my personal opinion. So that's already one. That happened in 2015, I said. Then it was the housekeeper. Now, they said the housekeeper, and the housekeeper is the one that Paul, who was taken out, that the father was convicted for. Remember, Paul, the housekeeper raised Paul since he was 2 years old. Let me get the year for the housekeeper. When was the housekeeper? Let's see. 21. Mallory was 2019. No, Stephen was 2015. Mallory was 2019. And Paul and his mom was 2021. Before that, it was the housekeeper. So the housekeeper was found all bloody on the porch, right? They said she tripped over the dogs. She had brain injuries and broken ribs. Rumor that Maggie or Paul pushed the housekeeper, but people believed it was Maggie. That's what the rumor. They were saying, during the interviews that it was Maggie or Paul. But 15 days after after Maggie and Paul was taken out, they reopened Stephen Smith's case. So on September 4th, 2021, 4 months after the Paul and Maggie, Tell you on the side of the road. So they reopened the Stephen Smith case. So, so 4 months, this September the 4th, 4 months after I had to read it, y'all, because to refresh my memory, like I told you, I watched this series a couple weeks ago. So I took these notes. So it's saying September the 4th, 2021. It was 4 months after the wife and the son. Alex supposed to have got shot, and he said he was shot in the head while he was changing a tire on the side of the road. Now, it was a whole stage thing. His lawyers lied on the report. Alex gonna turn around and say, "Oh, it was he gonna say that he was on the side of the expressway and somebody tried to take him out. I guess to make people think that the wife and his son, that the people wasn't happy. They going after the whole family. So then he ended up lying about what happened, and the lawyers lied at the hospital. Alex eventually ended up saying it was attempted taking his own life type of thing. He said he hired someone to, you know, to use the firearm to go to shoot him in the head. I don't know if you two gonna blanket or what, but he hired someone to shoot him in the head. It's one of his former client, Eddie, is who he tried to pin it on. Eddie said he did not go out there, but it felt like a setup. And Alex wrestled over the firearm, but he left and he didn't shoot. So he was like, Alex had contacted Eddie and had told him to come out there. But Eddie was like, this sounds like a little setup. After all the things, I'd be cautious too. After all the people you didn't encounter is no longer here, and you can call me on the side of the road to come meet you. Sounds suspicious. So Eddie was like, he went out there and he had the firearm. They wrestled over the firearm, but he just left. He said he didn't bang him, nothing. He just left. So the theory is Alex was trying to set up Eddie for attempted, taking him out. They found checks made out to Eddie, but no one believes he was actually given a check. It was just a paper trail, so Alex could lie like he hired him to take him out. The plan was for Alex to take out Eddie and then set him up for attempted and frame him for taking out Paul and Maggie. So that's the whole thing. So they believe that he had checks that was written out to Eddie, but don't nobody believe he actually ever gave it to Eddie, because his story to the police was, I hired Eddie to take me out because I could no longer live with my wife and son being gone. So he hired Eddie. But what they actually believe is that he was setting up Eddie and he was going to take Eddie out. I was like, ain't this some lifetime twist and turn things that this man is just wow. So he hired Eddie, but was going to switch it on Eddie. He's going to take on Eddie and say Eddie was the person who took out his wife and son. So that was the Alex maid body, Gloria, was never autopsy. So that's the name of the maid that they found on the porch that she's supposed to have tripped over some dogs. Her name was Gloria. He sued his own insurance company, the person who had the insurance on his house. He sued them for $4.3 million. Now she had two sons. Now I don't know. I can't say for sure, but from the look and the speech of the son, I would say that there's some type of mental disability there. But she had two sons. He gonna sue them on behalf of the son now, and never gave the son a penny. $4.3 million that he won from suing his own insurance company, and never gave the son a dime. So he appeared in court for bond in October 21. He was denied. He pleaded the fifth for embezzling money, because that was another thing. He was embezzling money like crazy. You watch the ABC special that's on YouTube, they get more into details about the money that he invested from long time friends, everybody who came to that office, he done got their money. Either they ain't never seen it or they seen a amount a lot lower than what the check was supposed to be for. So they said Buster was gambling in Las Vegas and selling offset for the father. There was the jail record of Alex talking to Buster about gambling. There's 800. There's a video where Paul is at 8:44. Now this is to me what really got him. So at 8:44, there's a video of Paul on Paul's phone. That's the son who deceased, where Alex's voice is heard. 9 p.m. is when the coroner said is the time that they passed. So the video, man, the video is 8:44. Somebody came and took him out at 9 p.m. according to the coroner. So on July 20th, 2022, he was charged with 2 counts for his wife and his son. He wasn't given no bond. They zoomed the body of Gloria because and then there's another thing. They zoomed the body of Gloria because then they found out once they look into it that Alex had took out commercial insurance policy on a property where Gloria ended up passing a month before she passed. Now, but this is their house, but he took out commercial insurance a month before she passed. So Gloria case is still ongoing. Mallory family filed a lawsuit against the Murdaughs. It haven't went to trial yet. Now, man, since this special then came out, Alex then went to trial, and they then found him guilty on all the charges now. And I said, I was looking through the pictures. I'm going to see. I was looking through the pictures of Alex. And while he was in jail, he didn't cut off his hair. Yeah. And I said, first of all, you already look like every villain that's ever been on the TVs. And the villains are usually like white pale bears with the blue eyes. Then the fool then sat here and cut off his hair and over here looking like Lex Luthor. And I'm like, that don't make your case look no better. Look at this. Let me see. Look at this. Let me stop that stream. I have to show y'all this picture with his hair cut off. Look at that, y'all. Look at that. This fool looking just like Lex Luthor. I said, that is not the look for you to go for when you finna go to court. Because I'm just be like, I know you ain't supposed to judge off appearance, but I'm like, Lex Luthor did it. Little Lex did it. Yeah, so that was the whole Murdaugh thing. Because, like I said, go watch the ABC one, and you'll see more information about him embezzling the money. Also, during the trial, they brought up him embezzling the money because the worker who found out, because it was a nosy woman. She said she took pride in her job, so she's very particular and watched all her cases and everything. She the one who dug into it because he kept trying to get stuff passed, get checks signed and approved and sent out to him or to this fake company that he had made up when she was off work, when she would take vacation or something. And then they'll call her like, hey, what's going on with this case? He told me to sign it, and I see it's your case. I'm just trying to make sure everything's clear. She was like, wait, he told you what? So after one too many times of that, she started actually investigating all the files that he did that on. Come find out he been embezzling money. I want to say he, for so long, when he was on the stand and they asked him how long, he said, I don't know, it's been a long time. I said, ain't that something? You've been embezzling money for so long, you done lost track of how long you've been embezzling money. That's ridiculous. So besides him embezzling the money, let me see if I can get the timeline right. I don't know if I had end up writing the time. No, I didn't end up writing the year that the maid then passed. So now before the maid then passed, a month before the maid then passed, mysteriously tripping on dogs but got real damage in head damage that she done passed on this property. Months before she done passed on this property, you went and go get commercial insurance on this property. Then she magically slip on some dogs and pass. Then you go and sue the company of the insurance that you just went and got on there a month ago. Get 4.3 million, sue in her son's name, but don't get her sons the money. So that's the main thing. Then the Stephen Smith is found close to their house, right on the road that leads to their house. They had found his car. His body wasn't too far from his car, but it wasn't like right there by the car. But he got head trauma, and it doesn't look like he was hit by a car. Then you have your son Paul, who done called somebody to pass on because he drinking and driving a boat. And then they went and, after that happened, they went and tried to have the friend go to jail for what Paul did, knowing Paul did it, but just tried to go to the law enforcement and tried to put out a narrative in the news and everything that it's between two drivers and things of that nature, knowing it was Paul the whole time. They tried to set that boy up, but that boy parents like, not me. Nope, I know them. I went to school with them. Hired their own lawyer, their own private investigator. They recreated the scene and proved that it was Paul and that was driving. And then why should you have to do that? Ain't that something the police should have did? Why should the parents went and had to hire their own separate private investigator to prove it was Paul driving when everybody there who had said it was Paul? So this O'Connor stuff is just something that the police wanted to go with and and that the Murdaughs wanted to put out there. So you can take you done already took this girl life. And now you're trying to take a whole nother boy life to put him in jail for something that you knew that Paul did. Now, I said, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if somebody did take out revenge. I said, but that would be some type of karma, wouldn't it? After you did all this stuff, and the one thing that you didn't do is what you get life in jail for. I said, that'd be karma. Because they were saying that how many, threats that they was getting against Paul and against the family because of what happened with Mallory. Because Mallory grew up in a town, everybody knew her. But unlike the Murdaughs, they didn't have that bad history. She was a good girl. She was talented. She was a pretty girl. And she had her whole life ahead of her. And because you was on this privilege and drunken and they never got in trouble for anything, you didn't care about the other people life that you had put in jeopardy. But Mallory was the only one who's not here no more, but everybody there had got hurt. And then to still be in the hospital and been so drunken that he was literally uncontrollable. The nurses couldn't do anything. Everybody knew he was drunk for him just being there. So you put everybody else's life in danger and end up actually taking a life. And how many stories with that daddy, baby, or money he didn't took for elementary school friends that then grew up and then, went to him. People trusted him. His daddy was a solicitor. His granddaddy was a solicitor. That granddaddy was a solicitor. Everybody trusted him. And you didn't go and took money from these people who was out there trying to survive, and you got money. You're a solicitor. You're a lawyer. You hired for the state. Ain't that many in there. Everybody coming to you for the case, so you're getting paid anyway. Then during the trial, he tried to say that he had some type of pill addiction, and he might have, but so I'm like, that's a whole bunch of twists and turns. I know that's going to be some type of movie, a TV series with all that stuff, because he seems like the you on Netflix, seem like that's him right there. A whole, what you call him, Dexter, that's him. And the one that you didn't do, maybe. And the only reason why I said it will be karma for him to go to jail for the one that he didn't do. But what solidified the case was that recording at 8:44, because for a whole almost 2 years until when the trial happened, from the night it happened up until almost 2 years, he have always denied even being there. So when they found that recording on Paul's phone that happened 15 minutes before Paul and the mama was taken out, where it's clearly his voice, He could no longer say, "Oh, I wasn't there." And when he say, "Oh, well, I forgot," or "I left right up after that," or whatever he said past that, it's just like, that's pretty hard to not remember that you had just seen them 15 minutes before they was taken out. And you know that I don't think they ever showed the video. You will hear the recording. So I don't know what the video was of because I didn't watch all of the trial. So I watched some of the trial. But once they had his voice on there, I'm like, I think it was a done deal from there, y'all. But yeah, that's pretty much wrap it up. That's how it all went. He was found guilty, and now they've been to dig up. I don't know whatever happened with the maid because I haven't seen an update on that from them exhuming her body. But they also is digging up Stephen and them exhuming his body. I'm like, with this many years in past, and they didn't take evidence and things from the crime. I don't see how. I don't know what would be the end results of that unless he just come in and confess. But yeah, that was that. I'm waiting on the TV show or movie because there was so many twists and turns, and and I understand like the small towns and people in the pocket, but I'm like, how many people who's connected to this family that is just gonna go ahead and check up out of here before y'all decide to do something? It ain't gonna be until it's one of y'all, someone connected to one of these police officers or something that you got to be like, oh no, this family got to be stopped. It's just that they made enough noise now after Mallory and that the mom and dad is really what got them. Because yeah, Paul was gonna be going, but that was DUIs Paul was on trial for, and whoever did, if it wasn't the dad, and if it was just some suspicious person, but they like we know this ain't finna work out. We know he finna get up off of this, or he ain't finna serve too much time for some doggone DUI. So yeah, I don't know if the truth of what completely happened would ever come out. So the story that what he got convicted on, the story that you found out during the trial, it sounds reasonable. It sounds logical. It sounds logic. So it all makes sense to me. Yeah, but I just finished watching this Escape SWV. I'm gonna hopefully do a review on that tomorrow. Let me get on out of here. I didn't cook tonight. And the family didn't eat. Now I need to go eat. So y'all have a good night. Thank you for watching.